Hello and welcome back to Scholastically Natalie, where we talk about books, writing, reading, D&D, and sometimes other things. I realize it's been quite a long while since we've last seen each other. My apologies. I moved and then I forgot how to be a functional human, as I do. Somehow streaming Baldur's Gate for like 90 hours has made me back into wanting to record videos and thinking about them, so hello! We are continuing on with Into the Land of the Unicorns as we are nearing the end, and I feel like I can't just abandon it when we're so close. We are currently on Chapter 13 with Grimwold, which I have misspelled, actually, in this title, and I didn't notice that until now. There's only one M. Okay, let's continue on. "Who did you think it would be?" replied the little man sharply. "My cousin Droopwillow. He doesn't live here. Never did." He paused, then added, "Don't think he lives anywhere now, for that matter." "But I've seen you before," Kara stammered, too surprised to notice that he was speaking to her in English. She stared at him to be sure that it was true. Yes, it had to be. The dark brown skin, the huge eyes, just this side of being so big they were grotesque. The thick, bushy brows that sprouted over them like silver waterfalls, the rounded pug nose. They all added up to the face she had seen every day on her grandmother's dresser. Of course, there it had been surrounded by an ornate wooden frame. The image had not been a photograph like all the others on the dresser, but a painting, one her grandmother had done herself. Whenever Kara had asked about the painting, Grandmother Morris had laughed and said, "Oh, him, an old friend from a long time ago. Another life, almost. I painted that back when I was about 14. Kara blinked at the memory. If her grandmother's words were true, then the little man standing in front of her had been a little old man for at least 50 years. Lowering his extravagant eyebrows, Grimwold stared at her and said, "What do you mean you've seen me before?" I think my grandmother must have met you. She has a picture of you on her dresser." Grimwold smiled. "The ladies always did fancy me. What did you say your name was?" "Kara. And how can you understand me without Lightfoot telling you what I'm saying?" "It's my job. I take it you're Lightfoot," he added, turning to the unicorn. "Son of Dancing Heart, if I remember correctly, which I am certain I still do. Still breaking your mother's heart?" Lightfoot blew air through his nostrils in a sign of anger. "We come seeking shelter and information. We also need to contact the Queen, if at all possible." "Certainly delighted, wonderful," grumbled the dwarf. "As if I don't have enough sorting and filing and figuring without you starting a new story on me. Well, come in, come in. You're outside now, and we're not going to get anywhere with you standing on the doorstep. I suppose the other three have to come in as well. I don't have their stories, you know, or at least not much of them. Not in the job, not in the job. Enough to do without keeping track of the likes of them." The squidgum chittered angrily, but Kara had taken her hand from Lightfoot's shoulder, so she couldn't make out his words. The door was wide enough for Kara and Lightfoot to enter side by side. The squidgum scampered in with them, racing around Lightfoot's cloven hooves. The Dimblethumb lumbered through behind them. Thomas came last. Grimwold stood by the door until they were all inside, then he slammed it shut and lowered a huge wooden crossbar to secure it. They had entered a long tunnel. It was lit by softly glowing lanterns. To Kara's surprise, the walls were of wood rather than stone, a rich, dark wood that reminded her of the paneling in the old library, where she and her grandmother had spent the afternoon that had ended with them being chased into St. Christopher's. How long ago had that been? She had lost count of the days. Again, she felt a step of worry about her grandmother. Mounted between the lanterns were beautiful paintings and intricately carved frames. Most of the images were of breathtaking landscapes populated by unicorns. Sometimes the unicorns were galloping, sometimes rearing and pawing the air, sometimes simply gazing out over their world. The remaining pictures were portraits, mostly of unicorns. Kara was amazed at how their faces varied, so that each displayed a distinct personality. A handful of the portraits were of humans, or near humans, since one was of a mermaid and another of a centaur. Kara wanted to stop and study the paintings, but Grimwold was hurrying them down the stone-paved hall. She was scurrying along, trying to keep up, when suddenly she did stop, so abruptly that the Dimblethumb bumped into her. "What is it?" asked Lightfoot, coming back and resting his horn on her shoulder. Kara pointed to a small portrait of a beautiful red-haired girl in her early teens. "That's my grandmother," she said, accidentally speaking out loud. "It is?" asked Grimwold, sounding nearly as surprised as Kara. "Why didn't you tell me so in the first place? How is dear Ivy?" "I don't know," said Kara desperately. "She was in terrible trouble when I left her." Grimwold didn't look surprised. I knew there was a tale in all of this, he said. Well, come along. We had best get on to the story room. I'm going to have to make notes. From the sound of it, I'm going to be part of this one, at least in a small way. Earth and sky, but I hate it when that happens. Kara could have sworn she heard the Dimplethumb chuckle. She glanced at him. His mouth was set in a straight line. Even so, he could not hide the twinkle in his eyes. She wished she knew what he was thinking. The wood-paneled hall opened into a high cavern where the light came not from lanterns, but from a single stone basin as wide as Kara was tall. Multi-colored flames leaped from its center, sending shadows flickering and dancing across the walls. The path wound between stalagmites that thrust upward from the floor and stalactites that hung down like huge stone fangs. A few pairs of stalactites and stalagmites had met, fusing into stone columns. Their smoothly shifting contours made them look as though muscles rippled beneath their slick surfaces. The cavern was so large the bowl of fire could not clearly light its perimeter. Even so, the shifting flames revealed numerous doors and tunnel openings. I wonder if you can get lost in here, thought Kara, as Grimwold led them past the bowl of fire. To her surprise, it was cool, a witch fire that cast light only. She noticed then that it was smokeless as well. Beyond the stone basin ran a stream about 10 feet wide. Reflections of the firelight danced on the surface of the dark water. The stream was easily crossed by means of a number of wide, flat stepping stones. The squidgem bounded over ahead of them, then came leaping back. An angry gesture from the Dimplethumb sent him scampering away again. Kara guessed that the man-bear wanted no interference while trying to cross the stones. Another wooden door, another wood-paneled corridor. This time the walls were broken on one side by doors, on the other by wood-framed openings that stretched into the darkness. The passage ended at a large door carved with strange designs. When Kara put her hand on Lightfoot's shoulder, she realized they said story room. It took her another moment to realize that if she could read them while in contact with Lightfoot, he must be able to read them as well. Let's get to work, said Grimwold. Swinging wide the door, he invited them into what was, without a doubt, the most wonderful room Kara had ever seen. And that is the ending of Chapter 13, where we get to meet Grimwold and get more hints about Kara's grandmother's delightful past, or at least delightfully mysterious past. I do enjoy world building where we kind of just get dumped in the middle of a story. I think that's what I enjoy the most about a lot of the stories I read. Probably why this one stuck with me so well. Either way, I know it was rather short, but I am always glad to put out something you guys seem to enjoy listening to. It always surprises me that Into the Land of the Unicorns is one of the most popular video series on my channel. I just think that's kind of funny. I wasn't expecting anything to come of it when I started reading it, and now it gets a ton of views, which I find funny. Thank you so much for watching. As always, I will do my very, very best to continue uploading chapters for this in a timely manner, and not doing what I've just done. So, I appreciate all of you commenting, participating in my channel in any way, shape, or form, and I will see you guys in the next time. Scholastically Natalie is out.